Check, check, check. Think we're good. Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. To a true coffee with the Cowbell. 8 a.m. Eastern. See if anybody's joining. I have coffee with the Cowbell decaf edition on Thursdays, 9 p.m. Eastern. But I thought I'd give it another try with a more traditional coffee time, 8 a.m. here before you maybe start your work day. So got my coffee here, and let's get started with another coffee with the Cowbell. Check a couple things here. Always checking always having some technical difficulties. All right, I think we're good. Cool. All right, one day you'll come here and it'll be flawless. I won't be looking at 4 different screens and fiddling with all these buttons, but in the meantime, glad you're here. If you are here live, I am trying to monitor chat. So if you have any Teams questions, collaboration questions, or you just want to say hi, feel free to put it in the chat wherever you are. I am streaming simultaneously to LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Facebook. If you're on any one of those mediums and you've got access to the chat, feel free to hit me up. Awesome. All right, so another chilly morning here in Ohio to talk about teams. Let me switch over to here. Always ready to just chat about stuff, usually stuff that has happened in the week before or the week during. And there were a couple things that happened in the last few days that I thought teams related that I thought were worth mentioning. And very simple ones, right? I mean, I certainly have some sessions where I kind of go deep into some big features. Then I have others where I'm just talking about best practices or tips and tricks. And I think this one falls into the tips and tricks area. What we're looking at here is the chat with yourself functionality that's relatively new. So you can, as you can see, this says this is my space, so I'm not chatting with anyone but myself. And it's come up, you know, in conversations with folks in terms of what they use this for. I've always said that I use it to try things out before I try them elsewhere. I've also used it as a um, journal area. Put notes here, and you know that they're then time stamped and everything. I came up with another little feature or option, I guess. I was in I think a text message, and I wanted to use. I don't know if you've ever see if you've used these stickers. You can, for instance, kind of make your own meme, put words in there, but I like the office drama one with the nice little comic book bubbles. And so, unlike gifts where you're trying to find just the right gift that says just the right thing, you can make these say whatever you want, right? So I use these obviously in Teams chat. I think they're fun. But I realize they don't have to just be for Teams. So by sending this to myself, it's now an image that I can either copy or download. And so now I've got that image there ready to put into an email message or a text message, all those kind of things. So I thought that was interesting, and I thought that was an interesting use of the chat with me features. Is just a little place to test out and make my either gifts or my stickers. So if you haven't done the stickers, you can get pretty creative with these. They got a nice little collection here that I think fits pretty much like every feeling you might have in a meeting. So I've used some of these with great success. But I made this realization, hey, it doesn't have to just be a Teams thing. So I can use this in my text message. There's probably something in text messages that does this too. But since I bleed Teams, then this was my first thought. I have also, used these to start loops. For those that aren't familiar with loops, they are these interactive, real-time kind of areas for things. And so, just quick primer on those. I could start this up and I could share it with someone, and they could see me typing real time. They could also share as well. Why is this different than other real-time collaboration? Mainly because it's right there within chat. This can also be in an email, all that good stuff. But I like to start them up, though, prior to sharing them, because sometimes I've seen folks get a little confused by a blank screen there, and then they kind of don't realize, yes, give me a sec to kind of start typing this up, and you add to it. So to have one kind of partially started, I think helps. So starting them here and then sharing them out. If I can get my thing going here, sharing them out after they're created first. And my resolution, I think, on this is let me change this. There we go. There we go. And then sharing it out later is another thing I use for chatting with myself. So just a couple of features. If you got some features out there that you use chat with yourself for, I'd be interested to hear them. So thought that was cool. Sorry. So cool. So that was my main one there for that. The other thing that came up actually last week in a chat, was it Cute for Teams? I got a couple too many of these names. I was in my Cute for Teams session. I almost called it Coffee for Teams, and now I'm hearing coffee. About to call it cute, but aka.ms/ sorry, aka.ms/cute4teams will take you to the landing page for the weekly Friday morning Ask Me Anything office hours for teams. So we got a great group of folks that join that weekly. They come with questions. If you're out there, Cute for Team folks, hello, good morning. They come with great questions. We have a good conversation. We geek out on teams. And last Friday, a question was asked, which of course gave me all the feels. They asked about OneNote versus SharePoint in Teams and sharing. Both of those, anybody that knows me, are two topics for which I could talk a long time about. I'm a fan of both. In fact, if you only know me as Teamwork Cowbell, you should also know me as SharePoint Cowbell. That's where it all started. So I've got a blog out there for that as well. So SharePoint's a friend of mine. OneNote's a friend of mine. So they were asking about, the sharing differences. And as with every answer that a good consultant will give, it's that it depends. I will say, though, that both of them do well in Teams in terms of sharing. And in fact, I think this is an example of one of the examples I was showing of how Teams, how OneNote shows up in Teams. So actually, I'm just going to do it from scratch here. So having, let's say, this particular OneNote here, why is OneNote a good sharing option or for Teams? One, because of its organizational structures, very intuitive, right? It's pages, it's notebook. It's a notebook with sections and pages, right? So the full notebook, or Ricardo at Contoso here is the notebook. The section is quick notes. The pages are here. For all of us that grew up in the 80s and know about Trapper Keepers, this makes perfect sense, right? So it's good for that. And over the years, it's become very useful. I use it a lot for inking with my Surface Pen. As you can see here, though, they've started integrating things like, I've integrated a live Microsoft Stream chat in the a Microsoft Stream video embedded right within the OneNote page. YouTube videos can be embedded. PowerPoint online, PowerPoints can be embedded. I like to do that to actually make notes right next to a embedded PowerPoint that I can page through. So don't get me started on all the reasons why OneNote is amazing. But given that I am using OneNote in this scenario, what wasn't cool in the past is the sharing options. It was usually, and I guess in some scenarios it still is, it's all about sharing the whole notebook, even if you want to share a page. And maybe to some extent that's still true, except that now in Teams, I can at least direct you to the page. Because it used to be I'll share the whole notebook and then you got to find where the page you're interested in. In this case, I want to share with someone this particular Basics 333 page. So I can copy a link to the page and then go to chat, wherever it may be. Let's start up a new conversation here. And I will paste it. And what you saw it did is turned the URL of that page into a very useful placeholder that really is doing three things. So the first one, at least in the desktop, if I got this right, let's try it live. So I'm gonna do this. The big one, the big purple one, is going to open up OneNote right in Teams, but not just open up the notebook, but go right to the page that we wanted. That's what's usually super cool about this. And so, given that, I can reference this notebook multiple times for multiple pages, and I'll get a thumbnail for each. To me, that's pretty cool. But again, this is giving me all the options on how I want to open this. That works for me. This one means I want to open it in Teams. This one is going to give me the option to open it in my desktop desktop app of choice, either OneNote for Windows 10 or OneNote, 2016 or whatever, OneNote desktop. So I may want to open it there. And then this one is allowing me to open it in the browser. Still all going to the specific page that I referenced. So that's what's super cool, I think, about that. I love the neatness of it. So from that perspective, putting your stuff in OneNote and sharing it out that way in Teams has advantages because it's just very elegantly inserted there. Good morning, Kirk. I see you out there. And Kirk, I don't think I will be at Ignite. Not that I'm aware of, unless something changes. I'd love to catch what you may have to share with teams. Yep. I certainly am not presenting. I know that at Ignite, but whether or not I'll be attending is TBD. So if you're going, definitely have fun. That'd be great. So good to see you this morning. Awesome. Let's see here. Okay, so yeah, so OneNote versus SharePoint, right? So again, there's lots of other things I could say about OneNote, but we'll just stop there. From a SharePoint perspective, again, it depends on what you're sharing, but if this is maybe a collection of files or notes, one thing about SharePoint is its flexibility from a sharing perspective. Each one of these, so hopefully you all out there know, when I'm looking at files here, I'm basically looking at SharePoint files. All right, so I will open this up here. So I'm looking at SharePoint files, and all of these files have, their own permissions. So while the library itself is set to be shared with the team and all that good stuff, any particular file I could manage to access. I can decide how to share it, even sharing it externally with someone. All right, I can hit the share button, share maybe with anyone if that's set in my org, or with specific people, and it sends them an email address or sends them an email for the sharing and all that good stuff. So very easy to share very specific things. Even sharing, if I let's go. This may not be a good example. I'm actually at the root right now. I was trying to find one with like folders. Actually, let's just make a folder here. But even sharing a folder, let's put a quick doc in there because I just want to show a little something here. Because I don't know if everybody realizes this, this ad hoc ability to make a drop folder in SharePoint or OneDrive. All right, so I've put a file in there. Let's go back. Okay, let's close that. Should show up here. There we go. All right. There we go. We got our document. Then I come here, and what I should have done is really set my tenant to that anyone link, because this will be hard to show without that. But the folder itself can be shared with a particular person. People with existing access. Say I really wanted that anyone link. That would have really brought this home, but let's go with specific people. So that can be somebody outside of my org, and they can edit, right? The end result of that, which it's hard to show here, is someone having access to essentially this folder and doc and any documents that are in it, and the ability to edit the doc, upload new ones, etc. And they don't have to be a part of my org. I don't even have to. I mean, if they've got a browser and the internet, they can do that. The reason I really wanted to show it in real life is because to give you that warm and fuzzy that they're not going to see all the different things on the left hand navigation that shows other stuff in your site. A lot of this stuff will go away because you've just shared that folder. So SharePoint's smart enough to just give access to what you've shared. So it's things like that that make SharePoint another, again, to that question of what should I use to share OneNote or SharePoint. Again, the flexibility here can be useful. As we just mentioned, SharePoint is integrated into Teams and is the default file area, and it defaults to the team in terms of access of these files, which is good. But it does not take away SharePoint's ability to be used, even for this file area specific to this team. It doesn't take away this file area's ability to be shared externally or shared with people that aren't a member of the team. Certainly, the more you do that, now you gotta kind of keep track of those. You kind of broken that inheritance kind of thing. You got to keep track of that. But I just like people to know that it has that capability. Just because it's a team, just because it was born in Teams, doesn't mean it will forever have to be only used in that team. Okay. So that is an interesting question, OneNote versus SharePoint, for which I could probably go on forever and ever. And I guess if people are interested in hearing more about OneNote versus SharePoint, I'm happy to do a extensive series there. I could talk for days on that. But yeah, both of them are my friend, and lots and lots of combinations of ways of using them. As OneNote, Windows 10 versus desktop version start to meld together, I'll probably have more to say about that. I don't know. I feel like a OneNote specific series is coming on. So I don't know. Thumbs up if you think that's a good idea. So good stuff. Again, if you're out there with any specific questions, put them in chat. I'll be happy to take care of them for you. But those were two that came up literally in the last few days that I just thought I would mention. Awesome. So that's a pretty good list there. Again, I'm still monitoring chat, but glad you could join me this morning. Again, I'm always trying to test things out to see what times work. The Thursday 9 p.m. certainly works for me at my schedule, but I'm also trying to get back to this more traditional coffee time. So I guess I'll look at stats to see just how well 8 a.m. Tuesdays works out. But hopefully it works for you. Let me know if it does. Let me know if you got any suggestions about this series. Happy to help. And then again, don't forget about Qt for Teams, aka.ms/Qt for Teams, Fridays 11 a.m. Eastern. One day I'll be slick enough to actually put that right here on the bottom of the screen while I'm talking. Haven't figured that. I figured it out, but I haven't figured out how to do it cool yet. So give me some time. Again, glad to see you. Glad to have spent some time with you. And we will check you out Thursday night or Friday morning. But this has been Coffee with the Cowbell.